2023. This is Ironman 70.3 Maine. We are going to talk about the athlete guide, some things that are listed in it for your vital information, and then we are going to dive into some course specifics. So if you already know a bunch about what is in the athlete guide, you can skip ahead to the course specifics. So without further ado, make sure you are reading the athlete guide, and we are going to scroll down here and we are going to zoom into page 4 here on our athlete guide where we have our event schedule here. Friday is the first opportunity for you to have athlete check-in. That is from 2 to 7 at the Y and the fields of Union Street. Next, we have a 3 p.m., 5 p.m. athlete briefing. You can attend either of those. They are in different spots, so make sure you are aware of that. There is also fireworks at 9 p.m. as well, so that is something cool and unique about this event here. Saturday, this is when athlete check-in happens again, 9 to 4. AWA priority check-in ends at noon. Woo! Then we have mandatory bike check-in for the masses starting at 10 to 4:30, and then athlete briefings, 2 options happening at noon or 2 p.m. as well. I would suggest attending that noon one if you do want to attend, and that way you can do kind of your own thing for the rest of the day if you've already checked in your bike. Sunday, race day here. Transition opens at 4:30 to 6 a.m. Pro race starts at 6. Age group rolling start is 10 minutes thereafter at 6 a.m. And the awards ceremony is going to happen at 3:30 along with slot allocation and roll down. Page 5 has athlete check-in, all the necessary things that you need to bring and where it is, along with the bike stickers. Again, this is something they're doing this year. You are not going to be permitted to have any other stickers other than the 70.3 Maine stickers on your bike this year, so make sure you take those off, otherwise you won't be able to check in your bike. Page 7 has pre-race info along with swim start address, physical address of the race venue, mandatory bike check-in where you will pick up your timing chip at bike check-in, not when you do check-in yourself. Mandatory athlete briefings and personal safety. Athletes are not allowed to swim in designated swim areas of 70.3 Maine in the days prior to the race. You will be DQ'd if you do that, so if you do want to swim, you might want to find a local establishment like a pool. If you do want to swim in the water, you can also do that ahead of time. They also talk about parking on page 7. Page 8, race day info. Things like your timing chip always on your left ankle. Body marking, you don't need to be wearing that. Morning clothes bag, make sure you don't pack anything valuable in there. Use other your Sherpas if possible, and if you do come with other people, pack the most important things with them. Aid stations every 15 miles on the bike and every mile-ish on the run. On the bike, these are the fixins that they're having. On the run, these are the offerings here. And I assume that the ice station is going to be on the first one, just like always. Race day info, page 10, things like swim cutoffs, time cutoffs, wetsuit optional things listed there. Relay info is on page 12. Page 13 is that post-race info, like award ceremony, your bike checkout, that kind of stuff. Qualifying is on page 15. On page 16, we have the swim course. You'll know that this has a couple extra lines on here. This is the transition area right at the bottom of my screen here. There is a green line, which means you are going to have to be walking and hoofing it up to the start of the swim. I don't see any shuttles listed here, so that means you are walking, my friend. Make sure you pack an extra pair of comfy shoes or a pair of throwaways that you are not concerned with. You can also keep those in your morning clothes bag. So if you do only come to the races with a pair of running shoes that you are running in, you're going to need to pack something additional to walk all the way up there. No mention if the morning clothes area drop-off is up here. It usually is, but just ask just ask when you do check in leading up to the race. Whew. There is also a brewing company listed on this great map here. Great, right before you start. It's exactly what you want. Now, swim specifics. Once you do get in the water, all the buoys are on the right-hand side, so you do have to keep those to your right. So you will be passing those on the left side from the very first one when you pop out and you are going out there. Keep an eye out for a buoy that is right here at this point. If there is none, make sure that you are cutting the course. That is the first big tip right through here. If there's no buoy over there, just head directly to that first sighting buoy right through here, or turn buoy. But I am going to go ahead and assume that there is going to be something there. If not, though, you get a free little corner right through there. This is going to be a faster swim than usual here. Athletes are going to be rolling down this stretch of water, and you can see we do have a bridge right here. This is going to be the point in time where the swim starts to calm down. It might happen a little later, but right around this point in time is where athletes are going to be settled in. As you can see, we have 4 siding buoys that are popping up right through here. So professionals, your race is probably not going to be cooling down at that point in time. It's probably going to happen right at this first red buoy right through here. But aside from that, this is a pretty straightforward swim. Most people are going to be breathing off to the right-hand side, which will benefit them a ton. Left-handed breathers, you are probably going to struggle on this course a little bit more because if it is sunny, you're going to be battling that as well. Now, coming back into the finish, there is another curve right through here. So depending on where they place the buoys, you might have a free little course cutting opportunity right through here that is totally legal depending on how they place the buoys. If not, you are going to have to go out as marked right through here. But on race morning, see what's going on right through here. And again, another important question, not only for the professionals but for the age groupers, is there going to be a mandatory turn buoy right through there? If not, red to red is always the fastest way to things, And that's the swim in a nutshell. Last big thing, you do have a little bit of a jog for T1. Now, because of that, a couple of things do play into this. Because it is a longer T1, the swim dynamics change just a bit. Normally, we would say just kind of get there, let people who blast off kind of just do their own thing and go away from you. But on this time, you really have to hang on to some of those legs just because that T1 is a little bit longer. If you're the kind of athlete who arrives out of the swim with a super high heart rate, then you're going to have to especially abide by that rule and maybe even be one of the jumpers coming out of the swim. If you're someone with a lower heart rate, typically out of the water, it doesn't really affect you that much. You can kind of let some other people do the work, and it's going to actually be flip-flopped of what is normal there. Going into T1, just make sure you get there at your own pace if you can. Professionals, you kind of have no choice. You kind of have to stay with the packs here because this is a longer T1. A, you do have the ability to bridge some of the gaps you were unable to in the water, or B, you are able to lose other people here because the transition times are going to balloon up a bit. Page 18 has the swim course rules and the wetsuit rules listed on there as well. Page 21 is the big one. This is our bike course here. A couple of quick things to note. It is a one loop, and yes, it does look like a duck. Okay, and that's going to come in handy with the sections that we talk about here. So this is the bike course, and let's zoom into the first part of here, the head of the duck. We are going to zigzag through. And let's kind of go in a little bit deeper. This start isn't necessarily super accurate. The start, you're probably going to be somewhere over here and zooming in out over there. This is where the run starts and finishes, or not finishes, finishes over there. But this is the beginning of our bike. And you can see that we are zigzagging, and it's not a straightforward direction there. There is going to be ample opportunity to get dropped or even bridge some of those gaps again coming out of T1 up until the bridge. At the point of the bridge, you're it's a mile away from transition. And so at this point in time, if you do not see the people in front of you, it's going to be a little bit harder to do some of the major things, especially with the long T1. Now, coming down the back side of our duck here, and let's highlight that because that is our first real key to the course right through here. This is the backside here, and as you can see, it has almost 1,000 feet of our 3,200 feet of elevation gain out there. We have a couple of major hills, so professionals, I'm going to walk you through what's going to happen first. Professionals, you are going to have a little bit of a battle. There's going to be some fireworks happening here. Also, this is going to be a major point of contention right through here. There is going to be a thinning on this first 5-mile stretch of this backside here. This little valley portion for you, this is going to be another opportunity for some of the heavier riders to kind of get away through here, and if they are a little bit bigger in terms of weight, they are going to want to do some of the additional work to kind of drive the pace here just to get themselves up this little hill, and so the other riders can kind of overtake them and pull them up this hill a little bit easier. And after you get back to the backside of the duck, that's where things kind of change a little bit. But age groupers, let's walk you through this side of the duck for you. Now, let's go to our best bike split so we can kind of help you understand this. The wind is going to be coming from a northeast side right here. So what that means for you is when you are going on this backside, this 1,000 feet of elevation isn't going to necessarily feel like 1,000 feet of elevation here. The best bike split has our projected winds right now coming in at about 5 miles an hour. So that will help you, believe it or not, more than you think. Not a ton, but coming up some of these other hills, it's going to become a bigger factor than you want it to if you are trying to bridge the gaps or kind of get away from people. So keep an eye out for the wind, watch the gusts, and also always account for some of the swirling that will happen through here. Just the chunkiness of the course, it's just going to be unavoidable for the wind to kind of swirl a bit here. Now, once you age groupers do arrive towards the backside of the tail right through here, that is going to be where the major work kind of starts and kind of continues throughout the day. So let's kind of zoom out here, and professionals, let's dive in towards the feet and the bottom of the duck here. So this is the second section out on course. This first foot, bottom section, and the second foot of our duck. As you should have been paying attention, the wind does come at that northeast position, or is at least projected to, so we are still scheduled to have a little bit of a cross tailwind during the bottom section of this bike course. And this section is going to be ridden very, very similarly, pros versus age groupers, and the main objective here is to A, not get dropped, and B, keep that rate of speed up without expending too much energy, because once we start to make the turn around this foot here, we do start to go back into a headwind, and that is going to pretty much last for the duration of the bike. And again, you can see here that this section, we do have about another 800 feet of elevation gain. And again, so these first couple of sections are no throwaways at all. So as we zoom out here and we start to turn back to that finish line, we are going to highlight this first big section here. 10.5 miles, 640 feet of elevation gain, and this is going to sting. There's no real flat section here. You're always going to be going up or down. Compounding that with the wind directly into your face, you have the ability to really pay for it if you are not riding with a group here. Age groupers, you might be better off being alone, depending on some of the race dynamics or just the games that are going to be played at this point in time. Professionals, you need to be with a group for sure during this section. Failure to do that will result in excess work having to be produced by you and your run being affected because of this section. And on paper, it doesn't look like it, right? It's only 600 feet of elevation. You've done it 1,000 times. But, the speed is going to be higher than you can match going in a group. So you need to be around at least 2 other people at this section to have race day success here. Going on to the bill of the duck here. And I'm going to highlight the whole rest of our race here because this is our last big section. Remember that wind is coming at this northeasterly position right here. So on the bottom of our bill, we do have a slight cross tailwind as well. And that is going to be this section right through here. And again, it is very, very chunky right here, and you're not going to really have any chance to kind of recover. You're taking these downhills to drive the uphills, and it's just going to be a constant effort, attack, recover, effort, recover, effort, recover, and that's just what the pattern's going to be throughout the day. As you start turning around the bill, heading directly into the wind again, these hills right through here aren't super aggressive, let's call it. We're always under 3%, aside from this hill right through here, where we do pick up to 5.5%, and this is going to be one of the last real places to bridge a gap or drop your competitors here. And if you haven't dropped them up to mile 50, if the group's very, very big, yeah, that makes sense. If you're riding with 1-2 other people and you got the handle on them on the bike or on the run, I'd be just concerned about some of the excess effort that you are going to place on yourself. Now, coming back in to town right here, this is a net downhill area, and we are going to try and highlight that for you just so you can see what we're talking about here in this last major section here. And I talked about it in the Happy Valley video a couple of weeks ago, and this is going to be a pretty similar situation here. It is a rolling down here, so you're still going to have work to do. We have 300 feet of elevation gain. There's going to be some twists and some turns in here, and some of them are going to be a little more aggressive than you want. So we're going to highlight in on our first first section right through here. We have a right and then a quick left. So this is an easy opportunity for you to maintain speed if no one is around you. Use the whole road if possible. You know, you don't want to just close yourself off on those turns and have to stand up, get up to speed only to do it again. So make sure no one's around you if you are using the whole road, and you know, keep your speed up. One last big thing on this bike course before we dive into the power very quickly. If you read some of the turn-by-turn directions, there are a couple of turns where they say this is a very sharp turn, be careful. This is a very tight turn, be careful. You know, and a couple of those turns happen kind of at the back side of our duck. We also have a couple of waggles right through here, and this one is going to be a tight one. The one that I found interesting, let's see if I can find it really fast for you, is this one coming off Richmond Road here. There is another road right through here, but they don't use that, so they are electing to go this tight turn right through here. So again, that one was an interesting one when I was doing this. So just be aware of some of these tight turns out here. There's a lot of them, and again, you're never going to really be going in just one major straight line over the course of the day. It's always going to be a turn, a twist, up or down. This is an active bike course, and if when I'm scrolling over this, if you follow our athlete on the bottom right here, you can see where the wind is, and it's exactly what we talked about in this little mini breakdown here. And as we keep coming up, you're going to be greeted with a nice headwind all the way to T2. So this could be an interesting course for most. So we're going to get rid of speed so we can kind of show you some of this power output throughout the day. You can see that, or hopefully you can see, the first 25 miles is going to be a little bit higher than the next 25 miles. But again, if we were to select our speed again, right? This doesn't really play the whole picture because this back section right through here is all headwind, right? So you're going to be battling. This is going to be an area where aero is going to be king right through here, and managing the power on the back side, or the front side of our course on the back side of the duck, is going to become a major player here. So you want to manage your speed on that first section on the back side of our duck. You want to manage your speed as best as possible, and I talked about it a couple videos ago. You want to just be content. You know, if you're an 18-mile-an-hour rider and you see you're averaging 22, 23 miles an hour, that should be good enough. You know, if you're a 25-mile-an-hour athlete and you are averaging 27, 28, 29 miles an hour back there, again, that should be enough for you. You know, you shouldn't be just always reaching for that extra mile per hour, and you're going to have to gauge your heart rate and your extra power that you need to kind of get to that upper mile per hour, whatever that is for you. And you're just going to have to kind of save a couple of those and leave them in the bank for the front side of our duck, because that's going to be a major contributor. And I'm not saying you need to let the race kind of pass you by, but just be smart about where you put your effort. And if I was an athlete racing this course, I would not put all of my eggs into this one basket on the backside of our duck, especially because it's the first 20 miles. Very few courses you need to do that, and this is not one of those courses, right? So time analysis, we are diving in. If you wanted to make this course 5% harder, a couple of areas that you could easily nab some free seconds here are this hill right here. You get 2.3 seconds again, and they're just little teeny tiny ones that are perfect, that are scattered all throughout here. This is a minute effort that will gain you 4 seconds, and again at the almost at the very end here, this is a 3-second gain for a minute of extra work. Those tiny needles are what we're after. We're not after these big long pillars right through here. So again, you can kind of play around with some of these extra things, and if you can go even a little bit easier in that first 20 miles and just maintain your speed and have a good average mile per hour in that little section, if the winds are going on this direction here, then you will be set for later on, because you're going to allow yourself to go a little bit harder later on because your effort was a little bit easier in the first section there. And that's the bike pretty much in a nutshell. Make sure you head over to page 24. We have our drafting rules. We have some other commonly violated rules out on the bike course on page 24 and 25. Now, the run is on page 31. I have created a separate file for us. This is almost accurate. It's 13.7, as close as I could get for everyone. And this is pretty much what you're going to see out on the run course. It is, before we dive in here, it is a one loop run course. Aid stations out on the course are going to come fast and frequent. We have one right before mile one, and let's zoom in here a little bit so we can see that. We have one at mile one, and as we're coming down here, there is an aid station right through here. I don't know if you are going to be able to pick that off on either side. But it's worth a shot here because the next one is a Red Bull one coming at mile three, and there is not, oh, there is a Red Bull sneaking in there at mile one. Now, you just need to maintain your pace and be smart in these first couple of miles, reaching out to the bottom here. Age groupers, you just want to get through these first 4 or 5 miles here and not set the world on fire. Pros, you are going to want to do kind of the opposite here. You are going to need to establish your run legs, kind of get everything running and ready to rock and roll for the first half a mile. But you need to kind of pull it together a little bit faster. We do have a little bit of a decline, a little bit of a small hill you are going down for the first half a mile, 3/4 of a mile, 3/10 of a mile. So you're going to have to be on your P's and Q's right out of the gate. Don't let your legs kind of sneak out from under you. And you really want to hold on to people that are just kind of flying up the road as best as possible because a smarter athlete is going to make their move later on. Mile 6 is a perfect opportunity to do that, but you also have a couple of obvious areas that are going to happen right before our bridge that we have to cross over at the top here. And then this is, if you are kind of with the leaders over here, this is going to be the last big place for you to make your mark over here. If you're a better downhill runner, maintain and watch them and make sure you're staying with them and blow them away on this downhill flying back into T2. Age groupers, you are kind of going to want to do the exact opposite of that. This is a perfect opportunity to do what we don't normally get a chance to do on a course like this. 270 feet of elevation gain here, an average gradient of 0.0 here. So you give what you take and you take what you give on this course with elevation. Because of that, you're going to want to come out a little bit slower and just slowly start to turn the screws on a course like this. The smarter age group athlete is going to be the one that is running their pace and knowing their pace here. A lot of this stuff, if we zoom into satellite and we get really, really close here, this is, you're running along you're running along some railroad tracks on the back portion here on this little section here. And as we kind of get off of that and as we were making this, this is going to be the pattern of the course to get you to go underneath the road there. That isn't labeled on the Ironman course there, but you could see that there's not a whole lot of shade as I'm kind of scrolling down here. Yeah, you do have a little bit mixed in through here, but that whole out and back stretch for a while is really, really open, especially at the bottom. And once we start to come back over here, depending on where they put the course and where you are at that time of day, it is probably going to be pretty sunny here. And as you kind of climb up to that bridge, it just gets more and more exposed for a little while. And this back section is going to sting for sure. So again, keep that in mind. But what you're going to want to do, age groupers, is you are going to want to just slowly turn the screws and slowly increase as best you can until you find the point at which your body is saying, oh, that's a little too fast. And that's going to be the big key out on course. Pros and amateurs, make sure you are cooling yourself off and actively doing so at all the aid stations possible out on course. And again, if you can kind of nab some stuff on either way out, that would be even better. I don't know if that's going to be a possibility, but that would be even better. We are starting to track a lot of core athlete temperatures. We are starting to see a major impact with the water getting dumped on you, whether that's riding or running. So make sure if it is a hot day, you are doing that to kind of maintain your body temperature, or if in a perfect scenario, cooling yourself off there. So that is the kind of the main run course in a nutshell. And again, I haven't really talked about it to excess because there's not a whole lot here to kind of really talk about here. The major thing on course that everybody's going to be worried about is that big hill right through here. And of our 590 feet of elevation here, we do have 160 feet of elevation coming from this one sole hill right through here over 1.5 miles-ish. And again, you're going to want to watch your paces and really run your paces out here, and that's going to be what this course is really dictated by. Most people are going to blow up because of A, the environment, or B, they're chasing another athlete that they have no business chasing, or kind of they're going outside of their limit for too long. If you do want to put the pedal to the metal, I would actually wait until about mile 7 on this course to do so, and at that point in time, go for it, right? Good luck, everybody. Ironman Maine 70.3 2023. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'll be happy to talk to you about personal race plan and overviews on an individual basis. Good luck, everyone.